really quick questions. Do you think that Holocaust education in our schools is a DEI program? There's no card for that. That's just yes or no.
I can look at whatever card
Holocaust
I choose.
education, is it a DEI? You can have a press conference to say whatever you want. I just need a quick answer to
Your
this.
soliloquy
Is Holocaust, because this is my time, is Holocaust education a DEI program?
No.
Is African American Studies a DEI
I
program?
think I answered that with one.
I'm asking it again.
Listen, we should
Just
be able,
yes or no?
We should be able to teach
My
courses in their
point is
entirety.
they are DEI programs, both of them, because students need diversity, equity, and inclusion to understand their environments. So both Holocaust education and the teaching of African American history are important, which is why the state of Connecticut requires it in our social studies curriculum. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth. You can't support one without supporting the other. And looking at what happens in the schools and actually deferring to teachers, parents who are on curriculum committees, local boards of education, and states who actually do the hard work and listening to what they say would be incredibly helpful in this role.
It's time to move on.
A diversity of viewpoints about Holocaust denying?
That's not what she said. That's not what she said. That's not at all what just happened there.
Hold on.
She's saying that college faculty are uniformly partisan, liberal, progressive radicals.
All right.
And that's
I guess let me just read again what was just said. The question, does refusing to hire a Holocaust denier as a member of Harvard's history department count as an ideological litmus test? She says, I believe there should be diversity of viewpoints relative to teachings and opinions on campus. I don't understand.
She was not answering what is a patently ridiculous question. And no Republican should take any lectures about anti-Semitism right now from Democrats.
But why on earth would she not be able to answer that question?
She has the same answer that every Republican has had for time immemorial. Why isn't there any diversity of viewpoint in the faculty at a college?
So what is the answer?
It was a joke of a question.
Okay.
It was a joke of a question.
So what's the answer?
Deserve an answer.
What's the answer?
The answer
is it an ideological litmus test to have a Holocaust denier be asked to ask?
Is there an ideological litmus test that you have to believe in progressive radicalism to get hired now? Because that's what it seems like to us.
Holocaust denialism.
That's the box they have to check.
Card-carrying, textbook anti-Semitism. You think
wasn't responding
doesn't
to
count?
That. She wasn't responding to that, and is a patently ridiculous assertion.
Why are you assuming that she wasn't responding to that when she gave
that
answer?
Because I'm a thinking human being who can see what a rational person would say to a ridiculous question.
She didn't say that's a ridiculous question.
You were totally misconstruing this.
Scott, literally, we played it for the American people to see.
Yeah, and every single person's going to see it my way.
She literally did not answer. She did not answer the question the way you want to answer the question, and that question has an answer. What is the answer?
The answer to that question is you're an idiot. To that congressman. That is the answer to that question.
It seemed like anti-Semitism is becoming the new racism, right? Like, people, if you want to say inconvenience things about a certain group of demographics, they're trying to castigate you as anti-Semite or a racist or a sexist. It's the same game. Like identity politics, Americans are tired of it, honestly. And as you saw from the intro, Abby Phillips tried to, I guess, spin this attempt that, diversity of viewpoints. Should we allow someone who's a Holocaust denier? Like, you got to give the angle, because at the end of the day, exposure is the best vaccine, right? If you're not exposed to some arguments and understand why it's absurd to deny the Holocaust, how can you, end of the day, good ideas can withstand bad ideas, and bad ideas can't withstand scrutiny, right? And this is some of the things that I believe in, and this is how free speech, censorship gets weaponized as a means of control over the minds of the populace. The totalitarian mindset behind the liberal vision shows through in innumerable ways. There's no institution in America where free speech is more severely restricted than in our politically correct colleges and universities dominated by liberals. Thomas Sowell. And DEI is racism under new management. If you want a lesser understanding of the world, you teach DEI. DEI doesn't teach you anything about the world. DEI teaches you to have prejudice and bias against a person based on their demographics. That's what DEI teaches you. It's an ism under new management. That's it. That's the reality. And I never heard, before today, I never heard DEI being synonymized with Jewish people or talking about the Holocaust. I never heard, DEI was always about critical race theory, about oppressor. DEI was always talking about black people and how they're now you want to lump in Jewish people in there to cover Democrats over their lack of their anti-Semitism streak lately, right? And this is the problem that I've been pointing out. Like David Portnoy, I'm just going to use this as a little caveat before we go into the main event. David Portnoy has a meltdown telling his Barstool panel guy, Kurt, to shut the F up, you bald F, after Minihan criticized Portnoy's approach to Jew jokes. Shut up, you work for me. You sure? You bet for now. Sure, you bet for now. For now, quit. I'll save $500,000. Is this a show or not a show? We can't have a conversation. You're an idiot. You're literally saying people will be allowed to make Jew jokes whenever they want. I'm not going to play the video because it's a curse tirated spin, but this is how you restrict free speech, right? Because you can make the same argument for black people. Oh, you can't make black jokes because you threaten, you'll increase hate crimes towards black people. Everyone knows how ridiculous that is, right? And this is where I ask, do you want equality or you want superiority? It's the same thing I tell about transgender people, the same way I say about gay people. If we can't make gay jokes, you're not telling us you want equality. You're telling us you want special treatment, because certain groups of people, you're allowed to make fun of men, you're allowed to make fun of white men, you're allowed to make fun of Asians, you're allowed to make fun of everybody under the sun. But for some reason, we can't make jokes about a certain group of people. For what reason? Are you my superior or are you my equal? And that's the ultimate form of equality, jokes. And now they're trying to do the same kind of logic that somehow making jokes about a demographic will increase hate crime towards them. So can we make the same argument about white jokes then? But you don't have that same fervor. And this is what I'm saying. If DEI was so good, you should apply DEI everywhere. In majority black institutions, in majority Asian institutions, DEI should apply everywhere. But you don't do that. We should apply DEI to the NBA. If DEI was such a good idea, but you don't. So what's up with these double standards? And this is some of the policing that I'm starting to notice on the right. A lot of people, a lot of liberals who align with Donald Trump are trying to do the same thing they did that from the party that they finished destroying and abandoned. They're trying to do the same gatekeeping-ish over here on the right. Portnoy blocked me for pointing out that recently, even last year, he was making Jew jokes. And his fans told me Jews can make Jew jokes. Oh, really? Listen to Portnoy in this video. He's unhinged. By the way, great way to treat people who work for you. This is something that a lot of people don't seem to understand. It seems like Jewish America, you're not taking the lessons that Black America is learning right now in 2025. That you're going to cry anti-Semitism one more too many times that is not applicable to a situation. If you criticize Israel, you're anti-Semitic. If you have skepticism about a pact that is aligned with foreign interests influencing your country's politics, somehow you're anti-Semitism. Make it make sense. You can't do this. It's like me calling you racist if you criticize me, if you criticize black people, if you downplay black people's experiences because data doesn't match up to their feelings. You walking into the same game. He's making the problem way bigger by melting down about it routinely. Kirk was making good and respectful points, and Portnoy couldn't keep it together. When he lashes out like this, it makes people want to poke the bear even more. Jews can make Jew jokes and blacks can use the N-word, but no one else is allowed to do those things. You don't see the correlation here? You don't see the irony here? And this is the problem I'm starting to see. Right? That you can't criticize. Like, end of the day, one thing I hate when people use their ethnicity or their race as an alibi or a shield against criticism. And this is how I'm starting to see anti-Semitism deployed. Don't give me this issue that I'm anti-Semitic because I'm downplaying something. I never downplay violence against Jewish people. You just saw I covered the terror attack against the synagogue that was trying to, pray for the people who are still held hostage in Gaza. I call that an anti-Semitized attack because of the fact that I know he was there intentionally to target and attack Jewish people with Molotovs. That's anti-Semitism. I agree. I condemn it. But me criticizing, I don't think the United States can go to war with Iran because Israel wanted to be so. I don't like the fact that Israel and people who are connected to them are trying to influence Trump to go to war with Iran on behalf of Israel, because I see, hey, this don't really benefit America like that. It's better if you keep peace and that's it. You gonna call that anti-Semitism? And this is how America starts to turning off, because right now, in my estimation, America's not in a mood to be obligated on behalf of another country to do anything. That's the kind of energy America's on right now. So, hey, David Portnoy, go ahead, because I think it's going to incentivize people to do it more. Now, in his comment section, people are always going to do some. They're going to make some Jewish joke. I already see it happening. This is how the internet works. People are going to be trolling Portnoy for a long time. But I digress. Let's get into this video of Abby and Scott debating about anti-Semitism and Holocaust denialism, and how she's trying to make this just an attempt to essentially smear the new the Department of Education secretary. Let's take a look.
Question has an answer. What is the answer?
The answer to that question is you're an idiot. To that congressman. That is the answer to that question.
What is the answer? Will the federal government, if somebody comes in and says, I don't believe the Holocaust really happened, will the federal government bring the hammer down on universities for saying that is not a viewpoint that we are allowing on our campuses?
The question would be
that the answer ought to be no, but it sounds like neither of you want to give an answer.
No, the answer ought to be what kind of litmus test is Harvard putting on its faculty now?
Here's my answer. We know college is a biased institution, right? You have a bunch of college students in these Ivy League schools doing the Free Palestine, River to the Sea, Palestine will be free, saying all these little slogans and chants that are essentially in rhetoric, right? It could be many Jewish people take that as a call to violence, because river to the sea, how are you going to get to the river to the sea from Palestine or Gaza without going through Israel? The implication there is violence, takeover, invasion, war. That's the implication. But the college campuses, you're allowed to say it. But someone who's saying, oh, I deny that this event happened because I didn't see it with my own eyes. To beat bad information, you counter it with good information. You educate the person. Isn't that what people go to college for? But if you ban it, and it's the same argument that I'm making about David Portnoy and the fact that he's trying to ban Jew jokes, or he wants to police speech on Jew jokes, is that all you're going to do is make people more curious about, oh, why you don't want us to make jokes about you? Oh, you think you're better than us? And you create the division already. Like, that already creates a sense of the division, because if you see ourselves as equal, we should be able to make jokes about each other, right? Here's an example.
Words black people can't pronounce. Let him go. Let him go. Go ahead, man. Let's go. I knock your way. Say it.
Oh. What is yeah, I'm the dad?
But we can't make jokes about Jews, right? Like, F the Jews is not a joke. I understand that. It's not a joke, right? Someone say F you, Kenny, F conservatives. That's not a joke. Yeah, I understand that, right? But, you know, in context, I can see, like, if it's part of some bigger kind of funny storyline that someone's trying to craft and they use that. But to police speech on behalf of a victimized group, and this is where, the term woke right, all the people who's been trying to propagate this term of woke right, they operate like this about Jewish people. It makes no sense to me. Oh, we're worried about anti-Semitism and the rise of it on the right and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, what's the anti-Semitism they're talking about? Is there violence being perpetrated on people on the right? Could be some, but based on my research, I haven't seen that. But it ain't more blatant than what it is on the left. College campus kids, Republicans are trying to essentially deny visas to students who participate in political actions, such as the Free Palestine chants and all that stuff. You got congresswomen like AOC Omar, whatever her name is, Ilhan Omar, coming down to these protesters and encouraging this ish. But the right has a problem with anti-Semitism. Okay. Because why? We got some people on our side who are very critical about Jewish people and the Jewish foreign actors and super PACs and billionaires that's associated with Israel, and people take that as a conflict of interest the same way that I take it as a conflict of interest that Ilhan Omar talks in her country's language to Somalians, talks about how Somalia is a great benefit and how she works in behalf of Somalia, right? I can call that out, but no one's going to call me any kind of ism. But you say literally the same thing. It's ridiculous. do you want equality or you want superiority? Pick one. Pick your struggle. Because if you want equality, you saw the joke, white dude made some jokes, words that black people can't say. Yeah, I'm the dad. Joke, great joke, right? But God forbid, someone does the equivalent about Jewish people. They don't want equality. That's what it seems like to me. If you're making that statement, you don't want equality. You want privilege. But I digress. Let's continue.
Yes. Only 3% of its faculty are Republicans.
I mean, she didn't have a note card in front of her to tell her the answer, and this is what happens when you have somebody who lied about having an education degree. They didn't teach about the Holocaust maybe when she was getting her French degree. If she actually has that, the reality also, if we also didn't even,
you're accusing her of being a Holocaust?
No. Hold on a second.
This is outrageous.
Excuse me,
I'm
Scott.
not going to say that.
Stop. Everybody stop. Everybody stop for a second. Excuse me, Scott. Nobody accused her of being a Holocaust denier.
You're implying
Scott,
that that's what she wants.
No one did
You're
that.
implying.
It is completely.
The line of inquiry here
just
is an
stop for just a
implication
second.
that she's like, sure,
it is
let's do that.
completely disingenuous for you to sit at this table and say that we accused her of being a Holocaust
I think it's
denier.
disingenuous to portray this interaction the way you are.
Absolutely no one said that. It is
How are you
disingenuous.
portraying it? How are you portraying
It's
it?
disingenuous. It's disrespectful.
I think
wrong.
the question was disingenuous.
Excuse me.
It was a disingenuous question.
How is it a disingenuous question? The other part of the question is, if you are an election denier, and Harvard said you can't be an election denier and teach at this school, is that a litmus test?
The question is, what litmus test is Harvard putting on its faculty?
Okay,
we know they have one
we gotta
set of
go,
ideology.
but it is very clear that neither.
Okay, one thing, how I would have moderated it, I would let him say his piece, give his context, then give his answer, right? And that's my problem. When you try to do yes or no questions, it almost seems like you're trying to pigeonhole someone's reason, because it's easy to misconstrue someone's point if they said yes. Oh, we should allow Holocaust deniers to say their piece on college campuses. It's freedom of speech, right? But you counter it with good speech, right? You can have a debate about it. You can prove the person wrong, because at the end of the day, it's hard to be very objective about someone's position when you don't hold that position truly. And you can there's some people who could do a really good job of doing that. But people have to be exposed to the arguments, right? And here's an example I'll give. Christianity, right? If you don't challenge your kids' faith, why do you believe in God? Why do you believe in all this stuff? If you don't properly prepare your kids to be able to defend their worldview, when they come across someone who feel very strongly about atheism and why God doesn't exist and all that stuff, and you don't arm them, or they never been exposed, or they don't ever have experience defending their beliefs, you leave them vulnerable to get converted into atheism or get deconverted from Christianity. When hard times hit, when people challenge their views. And this is what I'm talking about with free speech. I'm not saying that you should get someone in. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know where the line is, because at the end of the day, this is a very subjective question, right? But if you're a free speech absolutist, right, or you're relatively open to free speech, at least you should be allowed a Holocaust denier to debate on these issues. But there's some people who don't even want that. And to me, it gives weakness. To me, it screams, you may not know, or you may not really know what you're talking about. Right? Because this is the problem I'm having, is that I believe to correct bad speech, bad information, it must be confronted with good information. Right? And then it'll give these people less credibility, because if every time a Holocaust denier comes in and they debate Ben Shapiro, and Ben Shapiro just destroys them every single time on every single point, it'll get to the point where there's so much body of work, there's so much information about every point, every angle, that people will have, the Holocaust did happen because the Holocaust denier wasn't able to disprove this event, disprove this event, disprove this event. It'll give the public will benefit from having that discussion, because then if someone does believe in it, you go look at the debate between Ben Shapiro and this Holocaust denier and see how he got destroyed by Ben Shapiro. And they will put this ish to bed. But to do all this, oh my God, these pearl clutching, you artificially give credibility to the Holocaust denier. This is how I see it. Let me know in the comment section, you agree, disagree. I'm not defending Holocaust denial, but all I'm saying is, I'm making the point is that if you never give room, or you never give exposure to some of these concepts or ideas, at least the basic premise of a Holocaust denier, and give an armed people with the ability to shift through, deny, or challenge the Holocaust denier's premise. You leave them open to get converted or convinced. You leave people vulnerable to be convinced by Holocaust denialism.
Neither of you want to answer a very simple question.
So now you're accusing us.
Are you allowed?
Are you accusing us?
Is Harvard?
Are you accusing him and me?
Is Harvard allowed, or any school? Is any school allowed to say that these are facts? And if you don't,
this is what I talk about with the passive aggressiveness of liberals, right? They love innuendos and insinuations and this. I hate this passive aggressive ish. Just tell me what you want to say already. Just spill it out already. This is why this long-winded, like, got to make sure I put all these plausible deniabilities, front load all this statements before I give you a question. Like, we know what you're going with this. Like, you're trying to get a gotcha. We didn't say that. You're insinuating. And that's why I can't trust the Democrats sometimes, bro. D for deceitful.
don't believe in facts, you cannot teach here. Are they allowed to do that?
The question is, what is the litmus test today?
Scott,
and what kind of faculty do you want?
My
you want
question.
People who all have the same.
This is what I find laughable. She was allowed to front load her damn question with all this context. And then when Scott tried to do the same thing before he give his answer, because he says, what's the limit test right now? Okay, what's the limit test right now for what is true or false in a college? Because what we know where Scott's going to go with this, he's going to talk about the Gaza stuff, because that's allowed on college campuses. You got professors out here defending the students' ability to say this stuff. He can say the same argument could be made for the Holocaust. She don't want to go down that line of thinking, so she's trying to cut him off and say, just answer my question.
Do you not, when you answer my question with a question, you are dodging.
When
so
you
answer
ask
the question.
When you ask me questions that I think are kind of ridiculous framing of this issue, then I think you're misconstruing the issue.
How is it a ridiculous framing?
Because
you either believe that there are things that are facts or you don't.
I do believe in facts, and I also believe that that member of Congress was creating a disingenuous, ridiculous question designed for this gotcha moment right here.
Okay, it is very telling that you are not able or willing to even entertain an answer. You could answer the question right now, and you refuse to do it. Look, Harvard has a
It's the same thing as the Scherbackle stuff. You have to answer it a specific way, and that's why they front load all this stuff with all this content, because they're trying to guide you to have a certain answer, and it's like, no, that's not how people talk, bro.
Right to have any litmus test they want for their faculty. They're a private institution.
Okay, all right. Well, there's the answer to your question. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate that. Coming up next.
But well, Scott Jacobs was not playing with her today, and this is the problem, man. Like 94% of college faculties are liberals, Democrats. Come on, that's the litmus test he's talking about. Hey, these people are allowed to decide whatever standard they want in their universities. Fine, but that's not something the Department of Education should be in charge of. DEI shouldn't be pushed and shoved in the students' throat. And this is what we're talking about with the litmus test. You're allowed to teach unsubstantiated crap like DEI, but you draw the line with Holocaust denialism when DEI is essentially racism under new management. Make it make sense. And I think this is where the line of questioning, we could have had a fruitful discussion here, but the moderator attempts to play these games of, oh my God, it's one side only. Everything Donald Trump is doing is bad, right? You can't have no principled discussions about, hey, what level or what range of free speech are we comfortable with? Essentially, that was the debate. And she said, whatever I say it is, essentially is what she did. But I'll leave it there. I think I said enough. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you believe that many people are bad actors when it comes to the free speech debate and certain subjective points that they make to justify restricting speech, banning speech, or preventing speech? I'd like to hear your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.